Today, I couldn't be more excited because we're diving into a powerful tool from a bargain tool brand. And we're not going to only see what this comes with, but we're also going to set it up, test it, and even build something. So join me today as we take a deep dive into the Wen 9-inch bandsaw. So you may be asking, why the heck would anyone that has a full-size bandsaw want a benchtop one? Well, that's a very valid question and something that I have an easy answer for. A few years ago, when I upgraded to that full-size jet bandsaw, I immediately sold my Ryobi benchtop one and I immediately regretted it. And that's because I primarily use that jet bandsaw for resawing and not a lot of detailed cutting. So when I saw Wen made a 9-inch bandsaw for under 150 bucks, I knew I had to check it out. And like I said earlier, we're gonna get this thing out of the box, set it up, test it, and even make something with it. And just like 99% of my videos, I purchased this tool with my own money, so I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. So let's not waste any more time and dive into this tool. This, of course, is the Wen 9-inch bandsaw. Let's take a look at what comes inside the box. Oh, that reminds me. I was digging a hole in my backyard when I found a box filled with gold. I was so excited I ran inside to tell my baby's mama. Then I remembered why I was digging the hole in the first place. So thankfully, inside this box, there's not a whole lot of items here, so assembly shouldn't be that difficult. There's just the bandsaw itself, along with some accessories. Let's first dive into some of those accessories so we can get a better understanding of the tool. The largest of these items is the table itself, and this is made out of cast aluminum, and the machining on this is pretty rough, which we'll get into in just a moment. You'll also get a couple of knobs, some washers, and some hardware so that we can get this thing fully assembled. The next item you'll get is a fence for the bandsaw, and this is made out of aluminum and it feels pretty sturdy. And finally, the last item you'll get is a miter gauge if you want to make any consistent angled cuts. Now let's take a look at the bandsaw itself and see some of its features. Let's start off by taking a look at some of the detailed specs that are listed on the side of the saw. Let's talk about the motor, which is located on the very back of the saw. This motor is a 120 volt, 60 hertz, 2.8 amp motor, which isn't that powerful, but should be powerful for what I'm going to use it for. Now we mentioned this is a 9-inch bandsaw, and that measurement references the distance between the throat of the bandsaw and the blade itself. But the saw also has a cutting depth of 3.5 inches, which simply references the amount of blade that's exposed above the table. But what about the footprint of this saw? Well, let's take a few measurements. Let's start off with the table. The table itself has a width of 12 inches exactly, while the depth is about 12.25. And the height of this saw is right at 28.5 inches, if you include the knob that's on the very top. And the base is pretty small. However, it does have 4 mounting holes on the very bottom so that you can mount it to your bench. And the dimensions of this base are 15.5 by 6.5, but you probably have to account for the table, which just extends that base about 4 inches. On the side of the saw, you're going to find a couple of rotating latches that allow you to get into the interior of the saw. By twisting either one of these knobs, you can access either the top or the bottom of the bandsaw so that you can access the blade. And speaking of blades, the nice thing about this bandsaw is it comes pre-installed with a 1/4 inch blade so that you can get started right away. But a 1/4 inch blade isn't the only blade that this bandsaw can accommodate, as it'll take an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, as well as 3/8 inch blade. And these are 59.5 inch blades. And one thing that I highly recommend is picking up a pack of all three. And I found one from PowerTech on Amazon that was very affordable, as there's nothing worse than being in the middle of a project and having your blade break on you. And this set comes with all three of those sizes. If we look at the bottom wheel of this bandsaw, you're going to notice a little brush. And this is a really nice feature, as it keeps all that sawdust off the wheel to give a better grip on your blade. If we continue on, right next to that upper twisting knob to open up the top half of the tool, you'll find 2 more knobs. Let's take a look at what those do. The knob on the side right below that locking knob allows you to adjust the cutting depth up or down depending on what you're cutting through. And once you have that cutting depth locked in, you can lock that depth into place with that secondary knob on the back of the saw. Another knob on the back of the saw has 2 rotating knobs. Let's talk about what that does. By twisting the smaller knob, you can adjust the wheel left or right so that you can get your blade directly on the center of that wheel. And it's even got a little diagram right above that knob that shows you which direction the blade will go with each twist. It's this knob that's used in combination with the little window that's on the very side of the bandsaw. By simply rotating the wheels on the bandsaw and looking through this window, you can make sure that your blade is directly on the center of that wheel. And once you have your blade directly in the center of that wheel, it's that second knob that allows you to lock that calibration in place. Now you may remember when we were measuring the height of this tool, there was a knob on the very top. Let's talk about what that does. This is the blade tensioning knob. By simply rotating this knob either left or right, you can increase or decrease the tension on that blade. On the very back of the saw and at the very bottom, you're going to find a dust collection chute. Now the nice thing about this chute is it'll actually accept a standard shop vac hose, including my rigid shop vac, which I wasn't too sure about, and I even went as far as to print a 3D adapter in case it didn't fit. And the final feature of this item is the on and off switch, which is located on the column of the tool. And it even has a safety latch on it so that you can take it out in case you got some small ones around. And that about covers everything that's included inside this box, as well as the features of the bandsaw itself. But let's move on and talk about how we can set this thing up and prepare it for use. It's always good to prepare, buddy. That's exactly why I watch zombie movies, to prepare for the apocalypse, no matter how unlikely it might be. Same reason I watch porn. The first thing that I want to do is to address the table for this bandsaw. As I already showed you, it's got some pretty rough machining. Since you'll probably make some tight curves on a smaller bandsaw like this, we want to make sure that that tabletop is completely smooth and doesn't catch on your material. So I want to prep the table by doing a little bit of sanding on it. In this case, I'm going to use some 400 grit sandpaper and just smooth that table out. With that light sanding applied, you can see how much smoother my wood travels on that tabletop. But let's make it even smoother by adding just a little bit of paste wax, which will not only make it smoother, but also protect the table. Once that wax has been cleaned up, it's smoother than a baby's butt and it's ready to be installed. To install the table, we're going to loosen the wing nut on the very bottom of the table and remove the nut and the washers. With everything now removed, we can slide that table from the back of the bandsaw and slide it forward until it pops into place. Now that we have the table roughly into place, we can add the two knobs with the washers onto the bottom of the table right next to the tilt adjustment. With both knobs installed, we now want to get this thing square. To do this, we're going to make sure that both of the knobs we just installed are fairly loose, and then we can move our attention to the knob below those. We'll use this third knob to rotate the table left and right until we make sure that that square is perfectly aligned with that blade. Once you have your blade square to that table, you can lock it into place and you're just about ready to go. Now, one thing that's kind of nice about this bandsaw, if we remove the table, is there's actually a bolt that allows you to set your perfect 90 and have a reference point for that 90 degrees. This can be moved up or down with the included wrench so that you have a reference point on the bottom of your table for that perfect 90. But frankly, I wouldn't rely on this and I'd focus more on using a square itself. Now that we have our 90 degrees locked in, we can set our 0 point on the bottom of the tool with the tiny pointer with a small hex key. But just like with that bolt, I wouldn't rely too heavily on that pointer. Instead, I'd use measuring tools to set my angles. Speaking of angles, you actually have the ability to adjust that table up to 45 degrees with this saw, which is a nice little added feature for a bandsaw that's as small as this one. Now that we have that tabletop installed, we can add back that bolt and wing nut to lock this table into place. Now let's talk about a couple of the accessories that go on top of that tabletop, starting off with the fence. This fence is easily installed by simply sliding it over the back edge of the tabletop and locking it into place in the front. And once that fence is in place, it feels very secure to that table, and it's even at a perfect 90. The other accessory is of course the miter gauge, and this has a rotation of plus or minus 60 degrees. And just like with any other miter gauge, this slides right into the tabletop in the miter slot. Now that we fully understand that tabletop, let's talk about how we're going to calibrate that blade. To understand that, we need to open up this bandsaw. On the very top and the bottom of the blade, you're going to find a few bearings, and we just need to make sure that these are adjusted appropriately. And we need to do the exact same thing for both sets of bearings. So let me show you how to do this by taking a look at the top bearings. To access the top bearings, we need to open the protective case right on the top. Let's start off with the side bearings. The first thing that we want to do is to loosen the bolt with the included hex key on the very side of the bearing. Once that nut has been loosened, we want to align that bearing in two different ways, and this can be done using a flathead screwdriver on the very front of the bearing. As you rotate your screwdriver left and right, you can see that bearing moves up and down, and what we're looking for is just a little bit of spacing between that bearing and the blade itself. And the spacing is really small. In fact, what I like to do is to add a piece of paper between the blade and the bearing, or even wrap that blade in tape. And you'll want this very small spacing on either side of the blade, so you'll simply adjust both bearings until you can slide just a piece of paper in between the blade and the bearing. The second thing you're looking for is you want the very front of that bearing to be at the very back of the gullet of the blade. And once both of those alignments have been made, you can lock each bearing into place with the hex bolt that's on the very side of the bearing. bearing. And of course, you'll repeat this exact same process for those bottom bearings as well. But there's one more bearing to take a look at, and that's the bearing at the very back of the blade. For this bearing, once again, you want about a paper's thickness between the blade and the bearing itself. And micro adjustments to this bearing can be made by simply loosening the larger hex bolt on the very side of the bearing. And once you're comfortable with that bearing setting, you can lock it into place and all your bearings should be set up to make cuts. Now, we already showed you how to adjust the blade tracking on the wheel. We just want to make sure that that blade is directly in the center on both wheels. But as a final blade setup, we want to make sure that the tension on the blade is correct. And to do this, we need to twist the knob on the very top of the tool. Now, the more you use a bandsaw, the more you'll get familiar with how taut this blade should be, but what you're looking for is a blade that won't give more than 2 millimeters. And with your tension set, that's about it. You're ready to turn this bandsaw on. Now that we've got this thing all set up, let's do some test cuts on some actual wood. I got one for you. My ex got breast implants made out of wood last year. It'd be a funny joke if it had a punchline. Wouldn't it? Before we dive into testing this Wen bandsaw out, I want to ask you to do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video. It truly does help out this woodworking channel. And if you haven't already, check out my website, FlynnDoggWoodwork.com, where you can get access to all sorts of fun woodworking accessories like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. And I've just released some new models of shirts. And just like always, if this Wen bandsaw interests you, I'll be sure to leave links in the description below so that you can go check it out for yourself. And finally, if you'd like to support this channel even further, check out my channel memberships where you can get early access to all my videos as well as one member video a week. Now let's get into testing this Wen bandsaw. Now, we're not going to get into a ton of testing here, as the real test for this bandsaw will be when we make a small project here in just a few moments. But before I build anything, I did want to get a little bit comfortable with this tool. So let's start off by cutting some pine with this bandsaw. Now, this is just a small piece of scrap 1x material, but what I'm really looking for here is the ability for the saw to be able to make sharp curves in that material. And I'll have to say, one of the first things I noticed is this thing is very quiet and it just hums along when you turn it on. Now, as to be expected, this thing slices through that pine with no problems at all, and I'm even able to make some very sharp curves with this bandsaw. But that's pretty easy. Let's go through some thicker material like this 2x4. And this saw is able to cut through that 2x4 just as easily, making some soft curves and even some sharp ones. But let's try something a little bit different with this saw, which is not only going to test the capacity with this saw, but it's also going to introduce the fence. And for this, I'm just going to resaw this 2x4, which is going to be at the saw's maximum capacity. And I'm pretty impressed with how well this saw handles it, especially at its maximum capacity. Even though I need to take it a little bit slow, it's able to slice through all that 2x4 and give me 2 pieces of wood that I could use in a project. And I don't know if it's because this is a new blade, but there's very little saw marks and no burn marks at all. But let's try this saw on some hardwood, and we're not going to take it easy on it, as we're going to use some of the hardest wood in my shop, which is some hickory flooring. Now, as to be expected, I have to run this wood through just a little bit slower, but it does indeed cut right through this hickory and even make some nice curves. And I was even able to cut a pretty sharp curve, being able to rotate that blade 180 degrees. But let's do one more cutting test, resawing a piece of that same hickory. And this by far impresses me more than anything. Although I had to take this very slow, I was able to get through this hickory. The saw never bound up, and it was able to slice through all this wood, which is over 3 inches wide. And even more impressive was the very few saw marks it left and 0 burns once again. So I think I'm definitely comfortable using this on a small project, but let's test out one other thing, which is the dust collection. Now, you may or may not have noticed, but I haven't had dust collection attached this entire time, and there's a reason for that. I wanted to collect all sorts of dust in the very bottom of the bandsaw. So now that we know what it looks like, I'm going to close it back up, turn the shop back on, and see how it compares. And after just 5 seconds of runtime, you can see that almost all that sawdust has been removed. So I'll have to say I'm pretty impressed with all the testing that we just did, but let's move on to making a small project, which is a bandsaw box. What does the NBA and a box of crayons have in common? The white ones are useless. Now, if you've never created a bandsaw box before, it's pretty easy. In fact, it's just 5 cuts, and I've even created a blank so that we can get started. What I've done here is laminated 3 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood together with a walnut front and back. Now, let's get one thing straight here. This will probably not be entered into any bandsaw box competition, but I did create a design on the very top of the box. The first thing that I'll do is I'll take that design and cut around the entire perimeter, getting rid of all the extra wood that we don't need. And I was able to do this pretty easily without having any problems at all. However, I did forget to make a relief cut and I had to go back and make one later. But once that cut was made, the rest was pretty easy and I was able to easily finish up that box. So with our first cut made, you can see our box is starting to take shape and we got rid of all that material that we didn't want included in our box. The next cut is definitely the easiest, and that's to simply cut off the back of this box. So to do this, we're going to use our fence and simply resaw it to get that back off. With that back cut off, you'll now see that we have two pieces that will eventually glue back together. Now that was the easiest cut, but next comes the hardest cut of this whole process, and that's to cut out the interior of this design. And I'm no bandsaw expert, so don't expect this cut to be perfect. However, I will try to follow the wood grain to make this as seamless as possible. And as I was making this cut, I found it a little bit difficult to follow those lines, so I went a little bit rogue, but I think the result ended up okay. A little bit rogue is probably too nice, but I was able to make that third cut and you can see how the two pieces come apart. The next step is to glue that seam together, which is the kerf of the blade that allowed us to get into the center of the box. And for this, I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and CA glue and get it in clamps so that it can cure up. Our fourth cut is another easy one, and that's to simply cut off the front and the back of the drawer just like we did the back of the box. And this was easily done by simply cutting off the front, flipping it around, and then carefully cutting off the back. And now that we have the front and the back cut off from that drawer, we can make our fifth and final cut. And that's to simply cut out the interior of the drawer, which I've made some markings to give me some guidance. And for this, I didn't forget to make those relief cuts, which made this whole process a heck of a lot easier. All I had to do was simply follow my lines and remove that material as it got cut off. Now that we have that inside cut out, I could once again attach the front and the back of the drawer with some CA glue and some wood glue. And once that was done, all I needed to do was to add a couple of clamps. It's at this time that I could also glue the back of the box to the box itself. Once that glue had had just a little bit of time to cure up, it was then time to sand this thing down to get it ready for finish. And I'll just add a little bit of Danish oil to get that walnut and the plies on that plywood to pop. And with a little plastic handle that I 3D printed, I can call this thing done. Well, it's not going to win any awards, but frankly, it's about as good of a test that you can do with this bandsaw as I could think of. And let's remember, this thing is less than 150 bucks, and to get these type of results on my first project, I'm pretty impressed. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on checking out my latest toy, my new Wen 9-inch bandsaw. I sure had a whole lot of fun today, and if you haven't already, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video. It truly does help. And if you haven't had a chance to check out my website yet, go to flynndoggwoodwork.com, where you can get access to all sorts of fun woodworking accessories like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. And I've just released some new models of shirts. And if this Wen 9-inch bandsaw interests you, I'll be sure to leave links in the description below so that you can go check it out for yourself, along with any other tool that I used in this video. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel even further, check out my channel memberships, where you can get early access to all my videos as well as one member video a week. Until next time, take care as always. All right, let's get it. So I gave my blind friend a cheese grater for his birthday last year. He said it was the most violent book he's ever read. No? Yes. All right, let's try this one. So I bought a box of condoms the other day and the cashier asked me if I wanted a bag. I told her, no, I'll just turn the lights off. Wasn't that pretty? All right, last try. So I've never been more insulted than I was the other day. My computer said I needed to change my password. So naturally, I changed it to MYPENIS. Damn thing said my password wasn't long enough.